Sack the board is still getting screamed by Celtic fans, but Celtic fan group Bhoys Celtic have issued a 7-point statement outlining their concerns at the radio silence from the Celtic boardroom. Welcome back to Fog Football. They released a statement, and then they released 7 statements on top of that. We bullet points to get into. So how about we dive straight into it? There's a lot to get into. So they said, and I quote, "On Wednesday night, we joined thousands of Celtic fans throughout the stadium in chanting 'Sack the Board.' For us, this chant was not just about one poor result in a European qualifying campaign, although the last 2 decades have seen many of those, often due to the lack of timely investment to strengthen our playing squad, something many of our managers have called out during their time here. While sacking the board may not be a realistic demand, such chants are one of the few methods of airing discontent available to us due to the way our club operate. For us, this is about the board's continuous incompetence and total disregard of the opinions of Celtic fans who spent thousands of pounds every season supporting the club and see little to no return on investment either in the playing squad, the stadium, the matchday experience, to name just a few grievances." End of quote. So, right. So there's thousands of pounds being spent by Celtic fans, right, into supporting the club and see little to no return on investment. Little to no return on investment. I mean, I'd argue winning, like, how many trophies, right, in the past, 15 years, folks? Like, well, it's over 40, right? And this is what I will say. If Celtic are so good and Rangers are so pish, how have Rangers been to 2 cup finals, right, in the last 17 years, and Celtic have been to hee-haw? Not even close. Not even close. They can't even win a knockout tie, but Celtic are so much better than Rangers. That lies on. That lies on the failing of the players and the manager in charge of Celtic. You can't have it both ways, right? If Rangers have made it to 2 European finals in the past 17 years, right, and also just been much better in general in Europe than Celtic, actually capable of winning knockout ties. Apart from Celtic's season last year, what have they done? I mean, they've been getting bashed for years. Hell, this fucking statement even highlights that, right? They've been pished for years in Europe. But if they're beating Rangers domestically, right, easy. Beating them to cups, beating them to leagues, etc., etc. Why can't they do it in Europe if Rangers can? That's not the board's fault, right? Yeah, you can always spend more money, but if the team's good enough to smoke Rangers in the league, right, to win cups, domestic trophies, then I think the managers and the players over the course of these years would have had dominance domestically, need to front a bit of the responsibility in Europe. And if you think I'm wrong for saying that, then I don't think you have a footballing IQ. When you can't give them all the praise for what they do domestically, the players and the managers, but then blame the board for the European failings. That doesn't work. I'm not saying the board aren't a little bit responsible, because yeah, you can always spend more money. You can always spend more money. It's the same Rangers' Champions League campaign where we finished 0 points, and it's the worst, one of the worst Champions League records of all time, right? Yeah, board didn't back Gio after he got in, but see, at the end of the day, it's still up to those players to step up to task and try and do a bit better. You know, the previous year you get to a European final. So I just don't understand this whole fucking, let's bury the board for our European failings over 2 decades. No, your teams have done so well domestically, and then on the flip side, Rangers haven't really done that well domestically. Brutal, if we're being honest. So, and if they can do it at a European stage, why can't Celtic? It's got to lie with the players and the manager. But anyway, maybe I'm spitting too many facts here on this Friday morning or afternoon. But examples, right? They've went into a few examples here. The recent season ticket prices increased for the 25-26 season. These were justified by the club as necessary to cover the recent national minimum wage and national insurance increases for matchday staff, while we have tens of millions of pounds in the bank. Yeah, I mean, inflation, all that good stuff. National insurance increase. I mean, how much national insurance increase and national minimum wage increase really was there for matchday staff? I don't know, but I mean, you can argue Celtic have got millions of pounds in the bank, right? But if you don't adjust season ticket prices and tickets for games, then and you just be like, right, we're going to pay all the matchday staff with the money that we've got in the bank, quickly that's going to get drained. So that tier, it's not just a Celtic thing. Tickets are going up across the board, man. Name me a football club which tickets haven't went up over the years. Every single club goes up, so that's not really a Celtic problem. The severe lack of investment into an ageing stadium, with ordinary fans seeing no improvement of their matchday experience over many years. Well, I mean, the stadium fell apart, didn't it, in a storm last year, and there's been no improvement there, so that's a decent point. The lack of transparency around ticketing. Tickets for away matches become more difficult to attain for fans who've attended matches for years. A dysfunctional ticketing office, a slow march towards prices increases throughout Scotland, which our club are complicit in. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, ticket prices are going up, but see at the same time, man. See if you look at the state of the world, right? I think football is one of those things that's actually remaining cheap enough. You know, there is sporting events out there, right, that are going for way more than football prices, man. You know, you go to a league game, it's like what? It's like 30 odd quid, right? Europe's a wee bit more expensive than that, but it's not an unfathomable amount. And obviously, yeah, of course we'd all rather go for free. You know what I mean? But it doesn't work like that. It's like you look at like boxing, all these other sports. Hell, see all the sad fucks that like WrestleMania. So you want to go to the front row at WrestleMania, guys, next year and fake it 40? It's like 42. It's like 70 grand. 70 grand. You know what I mean? So there's 100 million things on this planet that are more expensive than football. I will say that. The fan survey, which was undertaken a year ago with much fanfare from the club, yet the results are still unreleased and excuse after excuse is given to us why not. Don't really know a lot about the fan survey, so I can't really comment too much on that. The lack of meaningful engagement and unwillingness to work with active fan groups to improve matchday atmosphere, at times descending into a total farce, such as the suspended ban currently imposed on the Green Brigade. I mean, do people want the Celtic board to be interacting with the Green Brigade? What do they want them to do? You know, do they want them to have a bowling night or something? Oh, are people that naive? Do people honestly think that Peter Lowe, right, and the rest of the guys on the Celtic board are going to rock up and be with the Green Brigade, go for a drink? No, it's not going to work like that, man. Unwillingness to explore or work towards a Celtic end, one of the key results of the fan survey, despite many examples now of other clubs working proactively with their fan organisations. This total refusal to increase standing capacity despite overwhelming demand leads to solutions such as fencing off parts of the stadium and introducing enhanced security checks with no regard for fan safety. I did see something in that Karak game where it was like a single file toilet, but the police were holding like a makeshift door. It was weird. I don't even know what that's about. And then the final point, the lack of update on or release of the Fairhurst inquiry into the unacceptable kettling of Celtic fans nearly 5 months on. Again, I can't even remember that. But, I mean, I think there is a few correct grievances here they've got with the board. But in terms of spending money on transfers and spending money... Yeah, the board should be spending more money on transfers. But honestly, man, the performances in Europe, pretty much since the UEFA Cup final, bar a couple of games here or there. I mean, Barcelona, that's a great result, right? And last year was much better than previous years. It's just been a failing across the board. To just pin it on the board is unacceptable, man. It is. I just don't understand it. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you deliver 40 odd trophies over just over a decade. You get buried, don't you? Get buried.